Hi folks, uh, this is Igor. A little late today. I'm making the remake of the video I did yesterday, and it's not a bad thing actually. I forgot yesterday to mention a small detail, but pretty important detail, and regarding HA stop loss strategy, but uh, today also happened some little movements that would be very favorable for Hans uh, to point out this rule too. But basically in this video I'll cover that little add-on on HA stop loss strategy, and I'll explain rule 2 for Hans in order to help Jazz a little bit to take apart a little bit of workload from his back, and this is something I can help with. Guys, I mean, nothing of this is new. You all know this, but it's just a little add-on to already existing strategies and worked out methodologies. So let me get to it. The first thing is this small detail regarding HA stop loss strategy that I mentioned already in the beginning of December about something regarding moms in the context of HA stop loss strategy. But I waited with the video until now. I wanted to be sure and then give a little bit more time to observe this in order to have kind of a more rounded up analysis of this and see if some kind of market fluctuations can occur and change anything, which did briefly, but let me tell you exactly what this whole thing is all about now. For the last two months, I put aside my trading, and because I needed to really dedicate more time to see what I can do with this ranging markets after all this time, and I had to resolve this. So I basically started using a stop loss, HA stop loss strategy, and see if I can do something with this. So I've been using HA stop loss strategy quite a lot, but when it comes to it, when I heard Jazz explaining it, how he kind of found out about it, basically. So let me repeat, and then I'll add this little detail that I observed actually work pretty well. Jazz explained. I'll use this UC. It's nothing complicated. It's very simple. I'll use this UC example here. We have this rule 2 in play, and this then I mean, if you take a look at LT situation here, I ain't gonna analyze it for right now, but let's say you have this rule 2 and then nice little pullback, you have 3-0 formed here, and then you expect eventually this to bounce from this 50-minute and continue going down. So let's say that's it. So you enter the trade, and as Jazz explained, you need a signal, you need HEBB band or HEBB band and momentum. Now, for the exit, he said upon the entry, if momentum starts flashing against you, or you get a white, that's the exit point. And so I started playing with all this a little bit to see how it performs, how it feels, and stuff like that. And then I saw that I basically first started wondering, since he mentioned momentum there, if it starts flashing against you, then I started paying attention to momentum the way I never did before, to be honest. And I noticed something and that something is that most of the time on a regular kind of irregular market conditions, when we have normal, nothing affected by news, normal volatility, normal volumes. I noticed basically that nothing happens with momentum until 8, value of 8. And when momentum starts flashing on 8, and that's all current, there's no difference. And when momentum starts flashing 8, basically value of 8 pushes a price like pip or 2. And then on 9 and upwards, it starts moving it like a little bit more seriously. So basically it was obvious now then you can take it literally like as a rule. I mean, for example, any of these moves can only happen by momentum. But in order, for example, this to happen on GJ or any kind of move, it needs consistently flashing momentum. Now we all know that, but I never kind of thought of these values, 8, 9, and then upwards. And I was pretty surprised, to be honest, that just because the momentum flash is like 4 or 5, that nothing happens. I was kind of a bit surprised with that, but this actually was pretty consistent and pretty solid picture. So when I first saw this, I mentioned it in a chat, but I kind of wanted to see then the question arise basically, does this kind of value add change at any point, or maybe some certain market conditions, and it did. But basically in this situation, like what I mentioned here, so you take the trade, you get the confirmation, and then you get out on the opposing bite. And I started basically not get out just because it showed, but I waited for momentum. And then two kind of scenarios happened. That it flashes maybe 10 briefly, but then stops, and then price starts going down, and then momentum change with you, and then you take the trade, and then you win the trade. I mean, we all know that the price can come into smudging little range, on 5 minutes and like that, and then you have multiple, opposing whites and stuff like that. So we all see that coming, and basically every white that comes to the like this equivalent HAB event comes there with the momentum. But then from this point, the question is, like, is it gonna take price over higher? And you can be now, as I can see, very sure that you can lose this trade only by consistently high enough value of MOMs. And this is kind of, you can play with this. I won many trades this way. I did get opposing white, but no momentum, or not high enough. Sometimes it played a little bit, flashes 1, 2, 3 times maybe, but then it get quiet and then starts turning down. Now, the other scenario that can happen with this is that keeps flashing, for example, in this situation like green, but it doesn't flash like 9, 10. Flashes maybe 6, 7, but it doesn't give up. It doesn't give up. It stays there, and then it maybe smudge a little bit, and then kicks in, and then flash like 10, 11, or higher, In this particular case, price actually did go kind of like up here, so it's like additional, definitely like 5, 6 pips, and momentum kicked in and stuff. But I'm showing you this because in my, for the last 2 months in my testing this and playing with all this, I didn't suffer any kind of any significant difference in the scores just because I waited a bit. I did get wide, but I waited a bit to see if momentum is gonna kick in. So eventually I would risk maybe a few pips, but considering how many trades I actually won from this position, it kind of it was pretty positive score. So It's not a bad thing. I'm not saying use it this way. This is not correction. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm saying this is a little add-on, to already existing strategy that Jazz made. But I'm just pointing it out, saying, look, I played with this a little bit. It wasn't really bad. It was kind of nice, especially for scalpers. I'm not a scalper, but I wanted to try it out, test it out. So for 6-pip scalpers, you would be surprised how many trades you actually win from this situation. So that's all I wanted to show. And yeah, eventually, yes, I'm almost to forget this same same thing that I forgot in the video yesterday, for which I'm making this remake. As I said, I started looking. That's why I gave myself a little bit more time in order to do this video. I wanted to see in a kind of period long enough that to see whether markets can eventually fluctuate in a way that it kind of changes these values. Like so as I said, 8 and then 9 and upward. And it actually did for 2 days. Sometimes in the beginning of the December, it was I don't remember the days what they were, but I remember it was related to some kind of interest rate that kind of made kind of markets a little bit more volume and a little bit more volatility. And those 2 days, I noticed that these values changed. I saw value of 7 started moving a price like it moves like on 9 on regular days. But I kind of feel then it came back to these values that I told you. It came back. And it hasn't been any change since then. So I'll keep watching on this, and I'm kind of reporting it to all of you. If somebody want to play with it and maybe observe it, and 4 eyes can see more than 2. I am at this point more interested whether to establish what kind of eventual market conditions can change these values. But these like 8, 9, 10 and upwards have been like pretty consistent. Now for 2 months it's been like that. So what are you gonna do with this? If you want to go do with this anything, it's up to you. But I wanted to show everybody, so I'll keep using it. I'll keep using it because I'm using that now. And it gave pretty good results on Wednesday on the ranging markets. That was the primary purpose for me why I engaged with this. Now somebody else may see these things differently, but it's up to each of any one of us. But that was all. Nothing more it's needed regarding this. So that was it. Now let me just see. Okay, 3 minutes. Nice. Not much. So the second thing I wanna, as I mentioned, I wanna cover is Hans. You expressed desire for to look into this Rule 2 thing, and I think Sargent mentioned something as well. Now was that I talked a little bit about this HA stop loss strategy on Tuesday. Now we covered that. So was, take a look at that. But let me get to this Rule 2 thing. And as I said, I can help Jazz a little bit with this. It's now, Hans. Things are very, very simple. There's nothing complicated on this, but the significance of this is tremendous. It's huge. Earlier today, Jazz really kind of summarize like the importance of Rule 2. I said multiple times before, for me it's the most important thing there is. I've been trading nothing but Rule 2 and the flow for solid year now. That's it's first now for those last 2 months that I'm looking into ranging markets and some other kind of type of entries, but that's basically all I did for the whole solid year. It's very simple, but it's incredibly important. Now, uh, what as it said here, Hans and I know Jazz pointed out today, and Jazz said like there's no move that is not rule 2, and that's absolutely certain. Like if you take any of these like big LT moves, they're all rule 2. Everything is rule 2. When you take trade with the flow, you take basically rule 2. The only difference is like you most likely then you're taking it when a flow is established, it every flow starts with rule 2 kicking in, and basically as it states here, it's rule 2 is a price closing above or below 50-minute orange line, or against 50-minute white. So that's it, as is stated here. So it's obviously connected with rule 1, which is bias. So which means you get the like here you get LT signal, and you trade that basically that signal to a particular price. Now I don't know. I tend to avoid, to be honest, bias, because I find bias pretty unreliable. It can sometimes literally start a new flow, and or sometimes it can, but rule 2 is the safest way of taking the reversal. And you, Hans, you asked Jazz, I remember on Tuesday, would he take this, up? You must have seen these signals, LT blues and probably this. And Jazz told you, well, I'll wait for the rule 2. It is the most safest way of reversing anything. And just to point out, Hans, I mean, yeah, price closing below all above. Now look, rule 2 on UC, clearly closed. On UJ here, rule 2, rule 2, rule 2. On GJ, rule 2, you can see it clearly closed. Even here, clearly closed, rule 2. That's basically it. So what you look there, the price closing above or below, then you have a little bit pullback, hopefully and nicely. It sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't. Sometimes there is so big pressure in the markets. Then when the market starts reversing, there's such a pressure. I've seen that I could only watch it. It doesn't give me any entry, no pullbacks, no something that can also happen. But basically, that's what rule 2 is. Now, Hans, I want to give you a little bit additional information to this, so you can be as prepared as possible. And then, because now at this point, you really should go back into recordings and watch them, how they perform. If I take, for example, I'll show you in a few examples in today's. By the way, Hans, I don't have recordings of the last couple of days, and I've chosen, if you can see here, I've chosen Tuesday, Wednesday. This is this week, as it's freshest, so you can in an easy way go and watch in your chart, see of these things. So I take a bunch of screenshots to show you, because I don't have any recordings on the site, and I don't record anything on my own. But I knew I'll do the recording, so I took these screenshots. So Jazz, this is from today, or okay, technically yesterday. It's past midnight. Jazz pointed out here to you during the session, and this. So I'll show you a couple of examples and explain to you really where you can expect them to fail, because when you start looking in the recordings, you will see certain number of them fail before eventually something kicking in. And there are certain situations in which you can expect they will happen. So if you know that, then you'll be able to kind of avoid and using HA stop loss strategy, minimize, if you will have any losses, minimize it until you really get one going, and you can see what they do once they start going. So as I said, let me start with these two examples on GU and UC. Jazz really pointed it out. So if I just give me a second, where are you? You see, yeah. So take a look. As Jazz pointed out, it's here from my charts. It's maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit more visible. Maybe, let me see. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not a little bit more visible. Maybe it's less. Let me see. I'll zoom in. Well, yeah, it is visible. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah, look, Hans, you had this. You always have to take in consideration LTs and stuff. In a moment I'll come to you, say how I see it, how I use this. I have a slightly some adjustments that serve me, but you have these signals. You can expect this, but look, it did one attempt. This is rule 2. It didn't work. It only met this flip down BB band and pushed price back to starting point. Then it made other attempt. This basically did not fail. So it smudged like for like almost an hour here, But if you take a look, I mean, it did close clearly, and then you expect this pullback. So if you take in here, this price didn't go against you maybe 2 pips, maybe 3 max, and most likely you had something. No, this is not it. This is this. I don't see here on 5 minute. You could have had some kind of flip up on a smaller time frames that could tell you, and then it kicked in. But let's say even if you missed this, and I explained to you these are kind of situations where you can expect some of them to fail. But then it kicked in, and then you have this beautiful, nice kind of pullback to the 50-minute orange line, and then it kicked in, and then at this point you got even blues. So you can see then eventually maybe it's time for to reverse something. It did go down. I had multiple attempts to take it up. I mean, when you have a flow, I do ignore the blues sometimes. But it depends on the situation. I don't always get it right. Sometimes get it wrong. Sometimes get it right. But the way I trade, I have to take that approach. But I'll come to that a little later. So that's how it goes. Once it starts going. Now the same situation. Look, I'll close this for simplicity reason. Now this is GU. Look, on GU. In a session, Jazz pointed out this little move, but if you take a look, before it came here, you had this beautiful like such a great close. I mean, rule 2 is basically here already. It continued there, and then you had this beautiful pullback. That's sometimes it gets a little messy, sometimes it goes through the lines, but it holds on and then continues where it's supposed to go, and this was really a great example of it. Now you have rule 2 here as well, but let's take a look on the 5 minute. Where are you? Yeah, it's 5 minute low. So this is this first pullback. That's really great. So it's basically 50-minute orange line trade. But then you had this, as I said, where are you? Yeah, so you basically had this closure, But on the other hand, take a look where it took you. It's basically flip up BB band. So it's questionable. Personally, me, I like it when it closes a little bit better than that. So I'll explain in a minute how these details, how I take it, but I will definitely still count this and I will take it up. So then you had this again beautiful 50-minute orange line trade, and take a look, Hans. I mean, it's what, 70 to like 50. That's nice. I mean, that's good. And if you compound few trades the way I do, you end up with a pretty nice pips, And all you need to do this one kind of move of this kind, you know, per like one pair. You know, you'll see. I'll show you how I trade, and I take on multiple trades, attempt it. You know, see how far I can go, and when it works, it works. But then Jazz explained this. You know, this is also rule 2. As I say, I mean, I like it when it's more clear, but then on the next candle you have it clear. I mean, this is clear. So this is rule 2, kind of confirmed, and then you have this entry. Let me get back to 5 minute. Yeah, so take a look. So you had these entries, which definitely one. If you're scalping, I mean, look, if you're scalping, you had this one. If you're for 6 pipper, look, you have 1, 2, 3. You could take maybe 4, 5, 6. Now, I can't vote for scalping. I'm not good at that. You can ask Jazz about it, but you know how Jazz trade. Jazz would take 2, 12 here, tell maybe 1 take it here, then again take it here, then take it here. So he goes his way, you know. But basically you have this entry here, and then it continued, and then you have this nice 5 minute flip up. And look, if you would take from here, that's like what, 5, 6, let's say 5, and this is 7. Look, that's 35 pip move. It's not bad. And if you would compound, this is about like 10 pip lower. So yeah, something like 10 pip lower. So if you have 35 here and basically 25 here, look, 60 pips. Not bad, you know. So that's rule 2 in how it looks like. And let me just explain now, Hans, before I go further. Look, this is Tuesday's session, and I'll also show you how it also can play out. And in this on Tuesday, there's a good couple of examples of when it doesn't work. But let me take a look. Yeah, this is GU. Look, as Jazz pointed out in today's session, every move basically is rule 2, and it's true. Look, even though, take a look at GU here, it's smudged, you know, it's smudged. Now, how you interpret LTs, I have my way. I see it through the lens of 50 minutes, but I'll come to this. But basically, then you have it going on, kicked in. Now, we can't see it here on 50-minute charts, you know, because it's already running, but you can, actually you can. Look, take a look. But for simplicity reasons, I took this screenshot from my platform. This was like during European session when it kicked in. Look how, Hans, look, sometimes the pressure can be so big that it doesn't even give you some kind of entry. I know there was many instances, you know, when price started going it's like a freaking rocket, no pullbacks, or it makes a pullback like nothing touching, you know, not even coming in a 5-minute road. But in here you can see this clear pressure. Look, you don't have from here. Basically, this is rule 2, barely, but this is like then a statement, tremendous one. No. And look, first here you have 50-minute entry point, but if I take a look on 5 minutes, you had multiple entries. Look, this is one, you had 1, you had 2, you had 3, you had then 4, you had 5, basically 6. If you would go also, that would be a valid trade, you know, flip down. This is 5-minute time frame. You had another one. If for scalper, look, it's as many, like 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, 5. Then let's say even you lose one here, then you get them back in this area again, no doubt about it. Look here, you have entry here as well. You have, look, that's when it starts kicking in. And now that's how it can look like, you know. It can be sometimes big, it can be sometimes a little smaller, you know. And it's like, if you would like it looks to me like if you would jump on a train, you know, one day it maybe takes you just to the nearest town, but another time you jump on a train, it takes you across the country. You know, sometimes these moves can be huge. I'll show you pure luck GJ trade, 200 pips. Yesterday, in almost a day ago, when I took it, went through Thursday. I closed it a little after session, and you know, and it's. I think you get a picture, Hans. That's important. That's very crucial, really. Rule 2, starting looking at it, start paying attention to it. It will help you in so many ways. It will, you know, it will give you the possibility to read LTs in a much better way, because that's what I do. But you know, if let me tell you, look, the way I trade, Hans, and everybody, I'm pretty similar to Lambo, but with a pretty one also big difference. Lambo take trades reading LTs. I don't. Actually, I don't. I don't take any trades based on LTs. I take trades. I read LTs constantly, but I read them through the lens of 15 minutes. That's all I do. 15-minute time frame is the center point for me to all this. It connects these LTs and connects these small time time frames. Now, for the last 2 months, for the first time, I started like working with this in a bit more serious way. So I basically look all the time frames, no problem. But Hans, once you get rule 2, you get a habit of paying attention to rule 2. You'll be able to read LTs better. I know that out of my personal experience, it does much better work, because once you start paying attention to these details, then you'll be able to see, okay, now, you know, LT kicks in, or, you know, you can see, always know better where you are. So even when markets are kind of confusing, you know, you'll be able then see, okay, that's the way it is, then leave it until something resolves, you know. But it is pretty simple. It's nothing difficult, you know. You just pay attention to where price close, and that's it. And then you'll be able, once you start picking this up, you'll be able to make much better trading decisions. Now, the way I do it, there are certain criterias and how I take trades and how I approach this. I'll quickly go through this. Now, I do not, in this case or any case, I don't consider white signals at all. Neither on 15 minutes nor on a longer time frames. The reason for this is that if you take a look at them across the board, go through recordings, these are not signals that you can just take. So for that reason, I don't see any. Look, this one is failing, and I know that this went up more, so that basically failed. You have this 1 hour up, then 1 hour down. The one up is not good. This one is really good. Same thing on 4 hour. You know, it's based most likely on currency strength, which is fluctuating. So I don't pay any attention to that. But what is important is where the price closes. Yeah. Then, as I told you, you pay attention to these things, and basically one thing that I almost now forgot, at what point, yeah, I need to bring this up, Hans, where you can expect them to start failing. Now, after all these big moves, this is very important. You usually have this some kind of smudging period. You know, just like, look, take a look, as you had this here when you see, you know, something. You had this previous run, sorry, you had this previous move, then it was this, obviously this period here when it came back to the 4 hour orange line, so it kind of smudged there, and then there in such a period you can expect them to come into some kind of range, like you had, let me show you on GU here, but you know range, you know that, you've seen that, Hans, million times. When you get into the range, then you can basically forget about rule 2 and stuff like that. Then you trade those smaller signals in 15 minutes, and I, for the first time, had a pretty nice score on ranging markets. This is yesterday. On Wednesday, I had 3 times 10 plus pips trades all taken up because there was a lot of blues. And Hans, you asked me about this one. I'll show you guys. I'll just a second. I took this one, yellow, blues, everything. I mean, if you take the setup, it looks like, it's supported that you can take it up, and, it's ranging. So I didn't take downs, I took ups, and I took, just a second. Where are you? Yeah. I took one here, and then it looked like a second move, 3 pips difference, and then I took 2 trades, paid off, went good. Then it was one. Then later that I took, that was here. That was here. That one you asked me about this, Hans, and you asked me for the entry. I took it, just broke like with 1 pip, and then gets going. So that was the 3rd trade. That was for the first time. For my sake, I'm still working on this smudging period, but these tremendous amounts of pips, I'll show you in a second, guys, and what criteria I have for taking trades and basically for trading at all. But that was this, Hans. And then also one other, I'll come back to Tuesday. Situation where they fail. So after these big moves, then you have pullbacks. So you have bias basically kicking in, and they're like here on UJ. You have this one. I'll just zoom in a little bit. You have this one, basically rule 2 clearly closed down, even with the white, and then it shoots up, back up. Now, if you take a look, you always have to consider situation on the LT, on the LTs. You always have to take consideration. So you have this, this blue, and then you are outside on 4 and 8 hour, and then on daily orange line. So you when you have these oppositions, that's when it happens that you eventually bias kicks in, and you have a pullback to 1 hour orange line. That means in this case that it creates rule 2, but then since it will bounce from that level, then it kind of cancels it. So you have this scenario, it clearly comes, but then comes up. But then in this case, as it did, then you have it like clearly, and then nice pullback, perfect trade. Look, perfect one, and you got it like definitely 20 pips here, definitely. So even if you experiment, Hans, with this, you use HA stop loss strategy. So even if you lost a couple of pips here, you didn't lose anything here, you got a really, really great trade. So then even if you lost it here, you can at least, level it up until you get it going. So, either we, the series flow on one side, or the other. But you can expect eventually them to fail in these certain scenarios. So once you know that a little bit ahead, it will prepare you. But Hans, start paying attention to them. Go through a little recording, see how they play out, and you will see these areas of ranging, and then eventually pullbacks to these, or for 4 hours, and stuff like that, and you'll be kind of more clear on reading LTs. Definitely, I guarantee you that. I know that from my own experience. So really, and everybody, it's really a must. It's the single most important thing, not only to read the markets, but to get good trades and being successful in this whole setup. Now, the way just a second, guys. 39. Oh, it's good. No, not too big. I'll just quickly go, and I'll show you through the example of trades this week. Basically, how I trade, I have some certain kind of conditions. I deviated. I started talking about this, but I deviated, because I forgot to mention that part to Hans. I don't want to leave anything out. Now, as I said, guys, I don't care about particularly at all, to be honest. About whites, but where the price is closing, and then all the other stuff I take into consideration. And basically, what I do, all I do, I'm not interested in scalping. I said that multiple times. All I do is I'm waiting and fishing for good moves that I can then utilize with at least 2 entries, And as you could see, in these examples I showed so far, sometimes, you can have a move of 50 pips and you can take multiple trades. Even if you take only one, well, that's nice too. But I'm not into 6 or 12 pips. I'm not good at that. If I could do what Jazz does, I would have done it. But I find this much easier and makes my life much easier. So I'm looking for good runs, and like Tuesday, we already had this run happening during the European session. So what I do is basically I look if I can pile up and continue sometimes, or sometimes take it from the start, some kind of good move. And this week it paid, like, it was really amazing. This was the best week I had so far since the year back. I'm at about like 700 pips for this week. So I'll show you. I'll give you the actual trade, so we'll see how that looks like, and I'll explain quickly my criteria. So since, just a second, guys, this is Tuesday. So I'll start through Tuesday. These are trades. As you can see here. This is 15 minutes. I have to go to the 5 minute. Yes. Okay. So these are trades. We came the session sometimes where it was like in the very beginning of the session. I took one trade here, and I take one here. Now, when I was showing this example, guys, when it goes, my criteria for taking trades is minimum. So price gotta be on 5 minute orange line and HABB band. It's exceptionally rare thing that I can take trade just like on one of these happening without having this criteria. And then it's also important to notice one thing, that there are kind of two general, at least the way I see it, two general levels. Once it gets going, since we were not here when this started, there was like 11:30. Let's say here was like 11:30, and so it's like 10:30. So it's like late morning on this day when it started going. So you guys have like on 5 minute orange low or orange line, or in the road, as Jazz called it, which is like between those lines. Price ended up like here a little bit more here where I took it, and stuff like that. But it's important to kind of always keep in mind that it can be sometimes a difference. Price can shoot against you. Look, this is 12 on the orange line, and let's say here it's not doesn't constitute as like 15-minute orange line trades, which are my favorites. It can be a difference like 5, 6, 7 pips, and so using HA stop loss strategy can be always a good thing, even here. Now when you have this clear direction, but that was minimum trade for me. And then my personal favorites, I'll show you a couple of examples. I caught some this week, some really great ones. Is like 50-minute orange line entries are my personal favorite. And then what I look for, what I sometimes get, is I take 15-minute, since I compound trades, and let them run. I take 15-minute entry, and then price starts going, and then it makes a little pullback toward 5-minute orange line, and then I take that one, and then it starts going. It's a little similar to what happened here, but I didn't take this one because I didn't have really a 15-minute entry here. You know, in my case, when I take the first trade, I like to level the second trade with the first trade. So if it starts going with me, I'll always have the possibility to cancel them like in a midway and end up with like break even. But since it didn't happen, I took it here, it started going a little bit, but I needed a little bit more, in order to take the second trade. I tried to get like, it's ideal for me if I can have like 10 pips difference from two entries. It's better than, I ain't gonna take, let's say, if I take trade here, I ain't gonna take those, I need some kind of movement until I take the next one. So here we had this like nice 5-minute orange line, pull back, and I took one there and I got him going. And basically, this is where it didn't work. Now, look, guys, the way I trade is I try this on every run I see. Sometimes I miss, sometimes it doesn't work, but in Tuesday example, it worked. GU didn't work. I got some pips on UC, and I got really great pips on GJ, which was also the case yesterday and yesterday and day before. So GJ was amazing. It was a killer this week, and that's like 70% of all pips I got was from the GJ. But in this case, as I was showing, oh come on, what happened is like I take one, I take two with the idea that it continues, maybe take third entry, and then eventually I always target, let's see if I can get 100 pips. But it didn't work on GU that day. I had like 20 here and 10, and then it reversed. I always place one pip positive to guard the trade, so it canceled first this one, they canceled this one in a pip, didn't take anything there. I wanted to see then eventually, I don't know, roll 2 and stuff, and then I took one trade here, but that was like scalping trade. Didn't see anything going, and it turned out to be that way. It just like continued smudging for the last of the session. Oh, for Christ's sake. Then on UC, I'll just quickly show you. I pointed out UC. I had kind of a little bit of a run. This was this. I don't know if I even explained this, but if I take, these are. This is the 2 trades I had on UC, and this is the example of how I look at not really 15-minute orange line entry, but close to it, and then I took this pullback. This is what I like to do. They don't always work, but when they do work, you get extra. And I didn't take any additional trades. Then seeing from the LT perspective, just a second. LT perspective, there were some. There was, I think, blues and something like that. I always said this at the back of my mind, are they gonna kick in and stuff? So I got kind of satisfied, like, what was like 20, 25 or something like, I don't remember now. So I was kind of, okay, it's good. And then GJ was a killer, really, really killer that day. Take a look, guys. Perfect 15-minute entry. Didn't get 5-minute. I took trade here. It started going as well as the second entry, but it came back, hit my positive stop loss. I remember it was like very nice flat line, long flat line on HA charts. Broke it with like here, with like pip or 2. Yellow came, perfect. I took it, and then it dropped like a rock. And you can see uh, 1 hour blue appeared almost simultaneously as 15 minutes. I just closed it. It turned out to be, sometimes that's not a good decision, you know, sometimes price can go through. I mean, you can see, I guarantee you, yes, the blues were here also, you know. But look, price can continue. But I thought, you know, I had like close to 80 and little over 50 on those two trades. What the heck am I gonna, you know, experiment anymore? Get those pips, and then eventually you get pullback, you know. That's good enough. I mean, I go until something appears, or if I'm kind of happy with the amount, you know. That's basically what I target. Then I gotta tell you one thing. Let me just see if I closed all this, guys. Just a second. Oh, 50. I'll speed it up as soon as possible, as quick as possible. I want to point out, in case somebody starts considering compounding the way I do, you have to, if you're going to do that, you have to adjust your approach and a little bit how you see this, and be prepared for some certain things. Wednesday was a great example of this, and I'll show you in a second what I mean about it. Yeah, look, I took UJ 5-minute entry, and I took GJ 15-minute entry. That was like, I don't know, close 40 pips, something like that. It was good pips, and this was like 40 plus something. I don't remember exactly. And you know, you may be tempted, if you're going to compound, then you have to kind of accept the situation that sometimes even you have a good pips, they can kind of go down the toilet, and if you're gonna score a little bit bigger, you know. So if you cash in like close to 40 and two trades about 40, let's say, you're not stupid. I mean, that's smart. That's 80 pips. You can do that. But if you're gonna compound, especially kind of, I became a little bit wired, so I do this all the time, try this all the time, and you're gonna have to accept that sometimes you're gonna have trade going and then it turn and cancel you out. This was news. Jazz I unfortunately missed. There was amazing trade here. I know Jazz. I talked to Jazz. He took this trade. I missed it. I took UC instead. But GJ was not canceled out. It came. So let me show you. GJ. Yeah. So one trade here. He didn't cancel it out like he did with UJ. He didn't drop all the way. And then I took. On its way back, I took another trade here, and look here again, which I missed. Unfortunately, I missed. I don't remember what I did, but I wasn't there at that particular moment, and that was again this nice 5-minute pullback. I missed basically 50 pips there. But those two trades, it's like you can see for yourself, guys. It was really like really good pip count, and. For the rest of this particular, I had some certain couple of trades. As I said, I had about 45 pips in three trades here on GU, and I had this. I was playing around here. I had like maybe 1-2 pip losses. You know, I was using stop loss, HA stop loss strategy. I had 2 losses, very small losses, and then I kicked in this one. It was a nice trade, but not too like huge volumes, you know, or huge moves, you know, but ended up even better than Tuesday. And then when I was making yesterday this video, I was really lucky. Really lucky. I just finished the video, and which I basically never do. This is basically the same period yesterday, and I decided to check the trades, and I came exactly on this perfect Rule 2 little nice little pullback. If you take a look here, what's this? This is not it. Yeah, this is it. Incredible, incredible one. Seriously, and I kind of when I kind of got in, or a pure coincidence. Let's take a look what happened, on markets, and I it was like there, and then it dropped. I saw it's like perfect 15-minute like pullback from rule 2, and it started going, and I just placed it like 1 pip positive stop loss, and I let it go. And I remember checking it out sometimes for the last time before I went to bed, because I go to bed in the morning. It was somewhere here in this corridor, like before it going. And then I didn't check it out at all before. I didn't have time when I wake up in the morning. Till breakfast, and then when I got logged in, it was like 190 pips, and I closed it when Rule 2 appeared. I could have taken some more, but if I close it here, it would be like more. But I closed that trade with 215. Rule 2 appeared, and I closed it there on that. In case, this maybe it's new day, it matches maybe comes here, and then we did have these biases. It can turn, you never know. It's really strong, but I didn't want to take in risk. 200 pips, amazing. It's why let it drop even, for maybe going for 300. I mean, you gotta be realistic. It was amazing. And I had basically Thursday, not much in terms of other trades. I had these 2 attempts, didn't lose anything on this. I got 1 trade here, but not very big. I did literally nothing on GJ, nothing really worked. I didn't really believe on this Rule 2 when it appeared, and it basically turned back. It looked messy, where this, so I let it go. I took trade on UJ, which exactly in the same way yesterday canceled it, and I had two entries on GJ, and this last one I squeezed about 100 pips on that. That's all I managed to get today, but still the week was amazing, despite all these canceling stuff on UJ both yesterday and today, and all these things. But I find this kind of more easier, the way I kind of settle in this, because it's more easy. You don't take more trades, but when things start going, you get really good results. Now the downside of this way of trading is that you can have days in a row when you don't have any running markets, and that's why which is what I experienced in August. That's why I had to kind of started dealing with these ranging markets and take other kind of trades. But Hans, Rule 2 is a necessity for everybody. I mean, you can't live and trade successfully without Rule 2. I don't see how that's possible. Jazz was repeating this like trillion times before I finally picked it up and started looking at it, and it became kind of my trading reality, and now where you're gonna compound, I show you the way I do it. Those small things, I fish for it, so when I catch it, I catch it. When I don't, I don't. Yeah, what can you do? This week was amazing. Is next week gonna be the same? Who knows? But it's basically, I show you in a nutshell, like kind of how I do it. So guys, I hope this was all clear, and understandable the way I explain. I'm not really sure, but I'm good in explaining stuff. But I hope this is clear enough. If not, tell me. I'll redo things. Now it's 1 hour long video. I don't think I could make it shorter, but I hope it will be enough Hans, for you and others who eventually may need something, you know, out of this. And Jazz, if you say this, correct me if I'm wrong in anything. But you guys, I see you in a room tomorrow. I'll send this now to MT, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.